he lied to the commissioner. He's lied to everybody. Yep. His words mean nothing.
Those were the powerful words shared by NBA analyst Michael Wilbon in May, and believe it or not, he was talking about one of the most successful, exciting young guards in the NBA, Ja Morant. Back then, Wilbon wasn't alone when it came to banning Morant, his shoes, and any support for him from his house. There were a ton of NBA commentators, writers, and fans who were furious with Morant because he had again messed up and was caught flashing a gun on a social media live stream. This was the second time that Morant had gotten in trouble with the league for the same offense. That's right, he couldn't even go months without doing what originally forced him into an 8-game suspension in March. But now, months later, Morant is back, and he seems like he is trying to make up for lost time. He is hopefully putting his past behind him, moving on from his troubling mistakes, growing up, and doing what's best for him, his future, and his Memphis Grizzlies. What does Morant have to do to earn back the trust and love of the NBA? He's got a long road ahead, but honestly, he's off to a good start. Just days after Wilbon's statement and non-stop coverage about Morant, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver made a huge statement by suspending Morant for 25 games. Since the suspension came during the offseason after the Grizzlies had already been eliminated, Morant wouldn't start serving it until the start of the 23-24 season. Not only was that going to hurt his team, but it was going to hurt Ja's pocketbook too. He would be missing out on $7.6 million because of his absence, roughly $304,000 per game. The response to Morant's suspension was praised by everyone across the NBA world. Richard Jefferson called it accurate, and Kendrick Perkins said it.
I think Adam Silver was beyond fair.
Even Morant himself felt like it was the right call. I've had time to reflect, and I realize how much hurt I've caused. I want to apologize to the NBA, the Grizzlies, my teammates, and the city of Memphis, Morant said, before adding that he was going to make it up to his fans and his team and work on my own mental health and decision making. That's a good call because people all admitted that Morant needed to get his act together. He remains one of the best young guys in the league with a career average of 22.4 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. He plays with fire, passion, and strong personality. It doesn't matter if he's dunking on his opponents or putting up incredible, nearly impossible blocks. Morant can seemingly do it all. It's no wonder he was the second overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft. But all of that potential and power doesn't mean anything if Morant keeps getting in his own way. One thing is clear, Morant could definitely get himself kicked out of the league if he messes up again. When it was announced that Morant was taking a leave from the league, people started to talk, and the vast majority of people were saying some pretty negative things about the Grizzlies guard. This is a suspension that Ja Morant deserved, Stephen A. Smith immediately said. At some point, it's not your friends, it's you, Kenny Smith said before calling him foolish. You can't do stupid stuff, Charles Barkley barked out. And that was just a few of the reactions. There were others who said that Morant had tarnished his career forever and he would never be seen the same way again. And of course, many Grizzlies fans were very upset because they knew what this could mean for the team in the new season. Morant is probably the best player in Memphis and one of the best guards in the league. Losing him for 25 games could be an absolute death sentence for the Grizzlies. Sure enough, the team struggled mightily when the 23-24 season began. Without Ja, they lost their first 6 games, and when the middle of December rolled around, they had an atrocious 6-19 record. Just the season before, they were seen as one of the best teams in the West, a squad that could make the finals within the next few years. Now, without Morant, they were rudderless and downright embarrassing. During this time, Ja kept to himself and quietly did the work on him he promised he would. But he was apparently taking note of the people who wrote him and his team off and was ready to bounce back into the league and really make an impact as soon as possible. December 19th, 2023 will be remembered as the day that Ja came back to Memphis and gave Grizzlies fans a reason to believe again. He entered the arena with teammate Derrick Rose, and Ja seemed low-key and laid back. His usual flashy self wasn't on display as the game was about to get underway. Perhaps this was a more subdued, more mature Ja. Well, once the game got started, he was looking like his regular old self. Right away, he was working his way into the paint, finding his teammates for assists, and was moving with the same speed and smarts he has been known for. At one point, the Pelicans were up by 24 points, and it seemed like the Grizzlies would continue to look like one of the worst teams in the West, but throughout the night, Ja was everywhere, scoring when his team needed him most, and making people forget about his off-court mistakes and 25-game suspension. In the end, he would score 34 big points, including a wild game-winning final second shot that gave the Grizzlies a much-needed 115-113 victory. The following game, Morant and his Grizzlies were in front of a Memphis home crowd, and Derrick Rose spoke to the fans before the game. After the game, another win, Ja said the team and the fans are his family, and he was elated to be back. Sadly, he wasn't back for long. After only 9 games back with his Grizzlies, Ja suffered a torn labrum in his shoulder during a practice session, and the team announced that he was going to miss the entire rest of the season. This was a devastating blow for the Grizzlies, who went 6-3 in the games when Ja was back. But honestly, it was even worse for Morant himself because it officially put a huge halt in his comeback story. People were excited to see what Ja could be again. They were elated to see him put the past behind him and become one of the best young players in the league. And yet now they will have to wait. Everyone will have to wait. It is clear that Morant is a sensationally impressive young star, and during his 9 games back, he put up 25.1 points, 8.1 assists, and 5.6 rebounds per game. That makes his departure after just a few games all the more painful. We were so close to possibly witnessing one of the biggest comebacks in NBA history.